Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we will be recapping MLP Austin, which was 2 weeks ago, and MLP Phoenix, which was just this past weekend. It's going to be a ton of fun. Got all my usual charts. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into this one. For starters, here are the results from MLP Austin. It was a ton of fun, by the way. If you've missed it, I did a whole vlog series on this channel, recapping everything from a week out, the construction undergoing, everything at the Pickle Ranch, all the way through my experiences actually at the venue. It was a ton of fun. The highlight for me personally was I got to do color commentary on MLP matches on Grandstand Court, Challenger matches on Saturday, and even on Championship Court next to Michelle McMahon on Sunday. I did a MLP Premier League match. It went out to a Tennis Channel audience. I was super nervous, but I think it went pretty well. It was super fun bringing real clear stats data to the broadcast. Anyway, into what actually happened at MLP Austin, the Dallas Flash and New Jersey Fives both came away with 10 points in their 4 matches. However, Dallas did go perfect 4-0. They did get the Dreambreaker win over New Jersey in the rematch of the championship game last year. And Dallas got a Dreambreaker win over the Texas Rangers, which, yes, Dallas, they are my rivals. I do hate them. So yeah, that was a bummer. But still, Texas came away with 7 points in the 4 matches against a very tough field. It was going to be sink or swim coming in for a lot of these teams, but especially for Orlando and Miami. They were the 2 teams that, in my opinion, maybe biggest surprises that they were as good as they have been. And it kind of went how we thought it was going to go. In fact, I didn't even update my power rankings from Columbus to Austin, just because by the end of this event, I felt more ingrained with my belief for these teams. I talked about this a little bit more in detail on last week's Pickle Pod with Zane Navratil, so if you want to hear what I had to say there, be sure to check that out as well. A few notable surprises, though, were Will House and Zane Navratil going a perfect 4-0. When you look at the teams that were in this event, that is a very promising for them. Annalie and Megan Dazan at 3-1 is good, but they did lose the women's doubles game to the Dallas Flash. However, the men did bounce back and take that men's game. So, keep in mind, even though New Jersey didn't get their revenge, when we get to the playoffs, all of a sudden, if Annalie and Megan by that point are starting to click a little bit better, there's still some serious potential here for New Jersey. We cannot count them out. Slight area for concern maybe for Texas, Tina Pisnik and Etta Tuionatoa going 1-3. Again, when you lose to Annalie and you lose to Georgia and Tyra, that happens, and that's okay. But when you consider how they lost to Georgia and Tyra, that's a little concerning. And then the loss to the Miami women. We've seen what this team is capable of when they're firing on all cylinders. And the good news for Texas is their men have been incredible, and their mixed doubles have been very strong as well. So here's a look at how the season standings were looking heading into MLP Phoenix, where we were going to have 7 teams in action, again playing a round robin, so every team is going to play each other exactly once at this event. And let's see how that went. Dallas Flash, perfect 6-0, including going 20-4 in their games. Brooklyn, 15 points in the 6 matches. They won every single match in regulation, other than the match against the Dallas Flash, which they lost in regulation. LA is probably the most interesting team at this event because we hadn't really seen them at a full lineup yet. Remember, Hunter Johnson injured himself while doing the dishes before the first event, so H.A. Kohler subbed in. And right before this one started, Kwang Duong was fined $50,000 and suspended for 4 matches of this event. So all of a sudden, LA has played 8 matches before we've even seen them at full strength. Coming into this, they probably just wanted to get any points they could have out of these matches. And yeah, they did really well. Spencer Smith filled in. He was a league-provided sub. They had to start every single game that he played, down 1-0. The biggest reason that LA was able to get these points, despite being shorthanded on the men's side, is because Jade Kawamoto and Catherine Parento went 6-0. They even managed to hand Georgia and Tyra of the Dallas Flash their first loss of the season in women's doubles. Moving down the standings, one of the other big surprises of this event was the Utah Black Diamonds. They look like they are, maybe a playoff team? I don't know. It's going to be an interesting race between them, Miami, and Chicago for that 10th spot. They still haven't really done anything against anybody good, but they're kind of looking like the class of the, kind of next tier. If they've got the framework there, can they build on that? We'll see. It was a tough week for the SoCal Heart-Eights and the Atlanta Bouncers, particularly the Atlanta Bouncers. They were pickled a few times. Speaking of pickles, Georgia Johnson now has, on 2 separate occasions, pickled both of the opponents she faced in a single match. Pretty crazy. There have been, 15 pickles all season, and Georgia Johnson's handed out 5 of them. Atlanta took 3 pickles this week. And then the hometown team, the Phoenix Flames. I mean, you have home field advantage, and they did have a pretty good crowd there by the looks of it. This is a fun team. Look at what they're doing on the clipboard, but they're just not a very good team. And it all kind of starts on that mixed doubles line with Jeannie Bouchard and Jack Sock. They did get their first win of the season, but I mean, sheesh. They are 1-12 on the year, and based on my math, they should be expected to at least have 4 wins against this schedule. If they were an average team against this schedule, they'd actually be expected to be 8-4. They haven't played a very tough schedule. Here's a look at all of the MLP Phoenix partnership results. Again, we talked about Catherine Parento and Jade Kawamoto, 6-0. Georgia Johnson and JW Johnson and mixed doubles also went 6-0. And then Agiga JW for the Dallas Flash, 5-1 in men's. And the Utah Black Diamonds, 5-1 men's doubles team. That's like the backbone of this team. Everything else is a little shaky, but men's doubles, yeah, they can get you. And when it comes to mixed doubles, there might not be a more well-rounded team than the Brooklyn Pickleball Club, or whatever they're called. Are they the pickleball team or are they the club? I think when they traded themselves, they dropped the team and became the club, but I could be wrong. Jackie Kawamoto was 6-0 in mixed doubles, and Deckel Bar and Rachel went 5-1. Overall, these two teams are a combined 17-4 on the year, and as we can see by my little duper math, which if you want to learn more about, I've talked about a lot before, so I'm kind of just, blowing through it now. One thing I am doing differently this week is I'm not extrapolating this to a 25-game schedule. These are just the raw values. So when you see that Deckel Bar and Rachel Rohrbacher are 9-2, but their wins above expected is 2.4, that means based on their duper, based on their opponent's duper, they have, in those 11 games, earned 2.4 more wins than we should expect them to have. So they're overperforming their expectations. In this wins above average one here, they are plus 3.4. So that just means they have earned 3.4 more wins than what the average team would be expected to have done against this schedule so far. So here's a look at the updated standings. This is just a few ways I like to visualize it here. You can just see how many points each team got in each match. You can see our first round bye target is 47 points. The top 6 teams will get a bye into the first round. And then the next 4 teams, seeds 7, 8, 9, and 10, will play a first round. Now remember, the first round is only a best of 1 series. After that, it becomes a best 2 of 3 like we saw last year. The target cutoff line right now is about 27 points to be the 10th team. Right now, Miami has that spot. But just on their heels are Chicago, Atlanta, and how about Utah? We talked about them. Look, they're all the way up in the 9th place right now, 1.11 points per match. There is a massive gap, however, in points per match, right from 8 to 9, going from LA to Utah. It just feels like a massive drop-off. And I've got some data to support that. Here's a grid. People are calling this the Minesweeper chart, and all it is just showing how each team did against each opponent. Here's an example. You can go across here. Our team Utah, they earned 3 points against Atlanta. What this does, it just lets you see not only who teams have played. For example, Dallas has played everybody except for St. Louis. And Carolina, all the way in last place, they still have to play St. Louis, New Jersey, Brooklyn, and Texas. But another thing it lets you do is just quickly look at little patterns like this. This box right here is the top 8 teams against the bottom 8 teams, and you'll notice it's all green. There's not a single red or orange box in there. And that's because these top 8 teams are currently 42-0 against the bottom 8 teams. 38 of those wins have been in regulation. 4 of them have been in Dream Breakers. Drilling into that just a little bit deeper on a team-by-team basis, here it is. That's just kind of remarkable. There's a real lack of parity. You either have it or you don't. I don't think this will last the whole season. Especially if Carolina wants to kind of, save their reputation a little bit. You'd imagine Ben and Colin are going to come out, maybe be able to get a few wins. Wouldn't be surprised if they could steal one off some of these top teams. You've also got Utah, who have men's doubles. That's dangerous enough. You've got Miami. Millie Rain's playing incredible this season. We still haven't seen all that much from the Chicago Slice or seen them really have time to gel. But still, this is pretty crazy. 42-0. Flawless. Moving on, here's a look at how teams are performing in individual games. We've got women's doubles, men's doubles, mixed doubles, all doubles totaled here, and then Dream Breakers. And here's kind of my favorite way to visualize this. I like using the average point differential here because to me, there's just some value in that. For example, Will and Zane, their record is really good. They're 7-3, very impressive. Based on my math, that is 3.3 more wins than we should expect that team to have. But when you look at their plus minus 0.8 points per game, they're not really blowing teams out. They're playing a lot of close games. Maybe they have a few big losses. To me, that is important. That's valuable information. That means hey, This team's record is really good, but like maybe you flip a few rallies. For example, they had to save game point against the Orlando Squeeze Men before they eventually got that win. They had a comeback down 4-9 against the Columbus Men in the first event. Like, is that sustainable? Are they really just, dogs who are going to grind out all these close games, or are they going to have a little bit of a regression to the mean? So that's, to me, why I kind of like using this plus minus. I do think, obviously, wins and losses are important too. I mean, at the end of the day, like, if you don't win games, nobody gives a shit. So with that in mind, here's a look at how teams are performing with their gender doubles plus minus on the x-axis. And then along the y-axis here, we have their mixed doubles. So in the top right, you are good at mixed doubles and gender doubles. In the bottom left, you're bad at both. And so on most teams, kind of like if you're good at gender, you're good at mixed too. I mean, that kind of tracks. It's the same players playing these matches. If you're a good player, yeah, you're going to win more games. I mean, I don't know. But the biggest thing I want to talk about is how teams have moved just in the last couple events. Here's where we were after Columbus, and here's where we were after Austin. We see Texas gender doubles struggling a little bit, and that's just the women. They went 1-3 in Austin. Also, we see Orlando and Miami dip a little bit towards the middle of the chart. You want to be further to the top right. And then after Phoenix, big move from Brooklyn. I mean, they're pretty close to Dallas and St. Louis here in this chart. Like, maybe there's something here. I don't know. I still have the New Jersey Fives as my third best team. I think they're closer to Dallas and St. Louis than Brooklyn is, especially considering, the playoffs. I do think Dream Breakers will be important. But still, there's something to be said about this. We can see LA after their 6-0 outing from their women, moving to the right, which is good. Also, just for fun, here's another look at it. I just threw this together. This is just only gender doubles. We've got men's doubles on the X, and on the Y-axis, we have women's doubles. So if you're in the top right, you're good at both. If you're in the bottom right, you have good men's doubles, bad women's doubles. If you're in the bottom left, you're bad at both. And in the top left, you have bad men's doubles, but good women's doubles. Texas, I really thought this was going to be the opposite case. I probably thought they would be closer to where LA was in this chart coming into the season, with their women carrying the men who would maybe take some time to figure it out. But it's kind of been the opposite. The women, 4-4, not bad. And then you've got the St. Louis Shock, who are just like in their own stratosphere right now. Now here's some charts, and I already flashed these up a few times, but we're just looking at the partnership results for the entire season. Again, using some fancy math here. I can share the equation if you want, but this does tie out to what they used to show as the win percentages in matches and games last year on the broadcast. Just some kind of, ELO calc or something. I don't know. I Googled it, played around, and reverse engineered it. So yay. And I already explained this earlier, but just remember, no longer adjusting these for 25 games. These are just the raw values. I do like to give these a quick little sanity check and see if these are adding value. So let me know if you like these or if you think it's just complete bogus mumbo-jumbo made-up stuff. But to me, when I look at a team like Dylan Frazier and Federico Saxford at 11-4, and my calculation says they're slightly underperforming, I mean, that kind of tracks. Those are like two of the top players on paper. Maybe they should be doing better than that. You look at Andre Diascu and CJ Klinger at 3-3. I probably expect them to be a lot closer to 4-2. So like one example here is Maya Bowie and Millie Rain are 6-9, and mainly because Maya Bowie just doesn't have a very high duper at all. This calculation thinks that they are significantly overperforming what they should be doing. It thinks they should be 2-13 or 3-12, so being 6-9 is incredible for them. It's a big reason for their success and why they're in the playoff hunt. And then you've got a team like Annalie Waters and Megan Dazan, half a game below expectations right now, and I mean, that kind of feels right. They played a tough schedule. They have played Georgia. They have played Anna Bright. They have played Catherine Prento and Jade. I mean, those are their 3 losses. So, look at Jackie Kawamoto and Rachel Rohrabacher at 6-5. That does feel lower than where they should be. And here are the same charts for mix. Here's the top half. Here's the bottom half. I do think it's kind of funny that in the one game with Alex Walker, Jack Sock is 1-0. He won 11-2, so he's at the top of this chart. But then his full-time partner for the Phoenix Flames, Jeannie Bouchard, of all the teams that are still playing together, that aren't subs or, just kind of an alternate lineup, they are the worst. They are 1-12, -6 average point differential. Is Alex Walker a better fit for this team than Jeannie Bouchard? I don't know. But if you're Phoenix, you're in 14th place right now. You just kind of, you got 2 points out of 6 matches in front of your home crowd. Maybe you're playing the long game and you just want Jeannie to get better, so you're getting her these reps. And maybe if you sneak in the playoffs, then you could do something. But you're not making the playoffs at this stage, so I don't know. Now we'll take a look at my personal favorite chart, and I think a lot of y'all like this chart too. In fact, I had a pro player reach out to me about this chart, and they told me they don't really like using the average point differential in this chart. They think it should be based on games won and lost. And their argument was that if you're trying to derive value and say this player was worth that amount of money, ultimately all that matters is, are you winning or are you losing? And of course, I just love that pro players are looking at these charts. Like, that just makes my day. And even if you're not a pro player and you're looking at these charts, I appreciate that too. I mean, I'm not making really any money doing this, guys. I've made like $200 in like over a year on YouTube. So I'm just doing this because I think it's fun. So if you do want to support the channel, you can like, subscribe, share this video, comment on it, and you could even become a $1 a month Basil Buddy, a member of this channel. Right now, it's just my dad and my brother in there. But you get these cool Basil emojis in comments and chats. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know if that's worth it. You don't have to do this too. It's kind of just like a joke at this point. So here it is based on win percentage. And I mean, not a whole lot changes all that much. We can see Will Howes gets a nice bump. We talked about how him and Zane, they don't really have a great average point differential, but if you go just on wins and losses. So let me know in the comments, which version of this chart do you like going forward? Which one's better? And now we'll move on to my updated tier list and power rankings. The big changes, I have moved Brooklyn up to the A tier, getting a little crowded in there, but I think it's fair to have 6 teams in my S and A tier. These are my 6 teams that right now I think are probably going to get those first round buys. Then we have LA and Orlando again. The top 8, there's just a huge dip. So like, I feel very confident that these are the top 8 teams. After that, I mean, Utah Black Diamonds on the move a little bit. How about it? I don't know if they'll get in the playoffs. They're in 9th place right now. Miami looking the part of a playoff team. Chicago maybe. I think it's kind of right now to me between those 3 teams for those last 2 spots. And I just was not impressed at all with what I saw from Atlanta. Not only failing to get many points, but just the way you lost. If you're getting pickled 3 times, it's not working. That's not good. And then Phoenix, for the hometown. I mean, we talked about that a lot already. And I'm still keeping Carolina in timeout. Like, do I expect a Ben Johns-led team to lose to any of these teams in the D and E tier? No, I don't. But I also don't expect a Ben Johns-led team to be 0-8 in dead last place. And I mean, that happens. So, like, I've just got to see it from Carolina before they're going to get an upgrade here. Over here is my actual power rankings. And let me know if you agree or disagree here. And with that, that'll do it. Get in the comments. Let's get some good conversations going. I try to respond to all the comments. I'll probably be sharing all these charts on Twitter, on Instagram, as I usually do. And guess what, guys? Next week is MLP Daytona. This is back-to-back-to-back MLP weeks. We will have 9 teams in action. To be frank, we do get a lot of mismatches, which, I mean, we'll see. Maybe one of these teams can finally pull a bottom 8 over top 8 upset. We do get Texas versus St. Louis. That'll be a ton of fun. Texas versus LA. So yeah, I'm excited for this one too. We'll be back probably recapping that next week as well. I've also recently brought back the world's shortest pickleball podcast, which is kind of how I got my start doing this. So follow me on Instagram where I'll be sharing those. I should have my video recapping this event up on there pretty soon. And also going to bring in some special guests, maybe even get a second episode up of that later this week. So yeah, that'll do it for this. Thank you.